we have made it to our next park. We are spending 3 nights in the Butte Lake area of Lassen Volcanic National Park. This is our 3rd time to the park and our 1st time to this area of the park. It's possible that we are going to leave our car parked at our campsite every day. All of our hiking looks like it can be done straight out of the campground, which is super cool. We have only done that once or twice before where we don't have to do any driving, and we love it. Looks like we have some shade for the afternoons, which is convenient because there's a huge heat wave coming through California right now. We're high enough up here, around 6,000 feet of elevation, that it's a lot cooler than down in the valley where it's like 106. I think we saw 109 at one point on our hike or drive in today. So it's more like in the mid 80s up here, but in the heat and sun, like the heat of the day and the sun hitting us, that will be pretty uncomfortable. So yeah, I think that's it. 3 nights, gonna do what we can, knock out some new miles, see some cool stuff. We are starting things off with this visit to Lassen with a short hike on the Bathtub Lake trail. It makes a almost loop and then connects up to the Butte Lake trail to finish the loop. We think it's going to be around 3 miles, and it has some climbing to it, but it's short and over pretty quickly. My watch will turn on. Yeah, we've climbed 200 feet of elevation so far, so pretty mild, even for a warm summer afternoon. You get to walk along this awesome creek, and there's footbridges over all of the crossings, at least all of the ones we've seen so far. You're good. You're good. So, to be fair, this is not a bridge. This is just a log. These are not our favorite things, but we are doing great. We're going to use some poles to stay safe. Okay, my turn.
It's time for team talk.
Straight up. Just so you all know, we have literally never had team talk before. This is the first.
It's team talk time.
What are we going to talk about?
Well,
About how tasty your vegetables are going to be? I put a lot of dip on it. 1.
that was not good. I'm trying.
What's worse, recording yourself for YouTube or eating a vegetable?
Both pretty bad.
You're literally doing both at the same time.
I know, it's horrible. I'm trying to stretch myself. What has been your most favorite part of the hike, or the trip so far?
I think watching Katie have so much fun.
Yeah? That's fun. I really liked the canyon and Capitol Reef.
The Sulphur Creek route.
That was fun.
I'm really proud of finishing Zion. Okay, that one is mushy.
Yeah, I'm really happy we finished Zion.
Oh, go chase your napkin.
But that interrupts team talk.
Yeah, but leave no trace.
What's another question? Oh, this is good. What's your favorite drive?
hike repeat.
What's been your favorite drive of the trip?
I don't like the driving.
I hate that part of our name.
Well, good morning. We are out hiking in Lassen Volcanic. Today's loop is a pretty big one. We took the Cinder Cone trail out from camp. We're going to save the climb of it for tomorrow because tomorrow's hike is a little shorter. Today we are headed out on the Nobles Emigrant Trail, which we have hiked a bunch of over from near the scenic highway area. And we are going to meet up with the Pacific Crest Trail, do an out and back on there to connect to our footsteps from last year. So we're hiking in the southeastern northeastern part of Lassen, and a few years ago in 2021, this was affected really severely by the Dixie Fire. And we're looking at these lakes and we just can't even imagine how beautiful they would be if they were still surrounded by lush pine trees instead of burned ones. I mean, they're remarkably beautiful right now. Just this turquoise water. It's gorgeous. We are at mile 19 and a half of what we thought was going to be a 16-mile day. Somehow along the way, we got ourselves a little carried away. No surprise, but it happened. We saw an extra section of trail that we would connect to where we had been in the past, and so we took the PCT out to where we'd been in the past, and then we continued along our plan and then took another short trail out to the cluster/Bear Lakes intersection. And that added 4 miles. And otherwise, it's just the math was wrong. So we thought it was going to be 16, but we're going to hit probably about 22. So there's an extra 2 miles somewhere in there that we probably just didn't account for very well. We're hiking currently in the Cinder Cone area and came through this early this morning when I thought my camera was broken. So missed all of this stuff earlier, and now we're heading back to meet up with where we've been. Google, if you do a search for Cinder Cone for this area, helpfully tells you that Cinder Cone is a cinder cone. So it's really nice. It's a volcanic feature. So there's lots of lava rocks and cool stuff out here. And no shade, which we were expecting, but it's hot. Well, we are wrapping up a 22-mile day, and I'm assuming most people who want to hike out here aren't interested in that kind of length. But you could easily cut off a few of the hikes that we did, or a few of the sections, and have about a 12-mile day out here where you could explore Cinder Cone early in the morning before it gets too hot, and then head out to Rainbow Lakes and Lower Twin Lakes and make a loop back there. It those were really pretty lakes. They were very blue, not quite as blue as the Silver Lake that we swam in, but not as far away either. So you could definitely head out there, enjoy lunch at a really pretty lake, and then make your way back all before the day gets too hot. Even with our big mileage day of 22 miles, we're still looking at only about 1,700 feet of elevation gain. So overall, it's a pretty accessible hike in terms of climbing. If you do go up to Cinder Cone, you will have a big steep climb to get up and then down from there. We are on our second morning at Lassen Volcanic National Park, and we are back on the Cinder Cone Trail. Today we are actually climbing the thing. It is about 500 feet in a third of a mile, so it's gonna kick our butts. It's only 500 feet. You're gonna get a glimpse of the trail here as we come around this tree branch. Yes. That is the trail winding up the side of the Cinder Cone. They have a lot of requests around here for you to stay on trail because the cinder fields, they're kind of like rocky dunes. They're very sensitive to footsteps. So we will be staying on the established trail. It's around 5:45 in the morning. So we are all alone out here. Well, we made it to the top of the crater. That was a haul. We noticed that the bugs were really bad whenever we were in the sun, and so I busted out my bug net. They're not so bad though, now that we are in the shade of the crater wall. And hopefully once we're moving later today, they'll chill out. It's super cool up here. I don't know 100% if it's worth the climb, but it is cool, and since we're here, we'll enjoy.
Part of it. Footsteps, so we have some. After hiking to and around the Cinder Cone for about 4.5 miles, we finally took off into the further wilderness, and we have reached Snag Lake. We are going to hike around this for about 1.5 miles. It's very pretty, a little flooded, but nice and flat and blue this morning. Oh, we're definitely showering today. Woo. Ready? Yeah. Ew. Okay, we have rounded Snag Lake. We are still in sight of it, but on the eastern shore. We have done some epic bog walking. The ground is firmer, and it's a fine day. This would be a much better hike if we hadn't really pushed ourselves yesterday. But our bodies are just a little grumpy about moving so far again. And somehow or other we missed a bunch of the miles on this hike, so it's also a lot longer. But we're starting to make time up and looking forward to possible showers and ice cream at the end of the day. Well, it's pretty much a wrap on the Snag Lake to Butte Lake trail with a side trip to Cinder Cone. Going to clock in at over 16 miles for us today. You can make the trail or the hike shorter in at least 3 ways. One, you could just go out to Cinder Cone and explore that area and head back the way you came. That would be about 5 to 6 miles, depending on how much you explored up on top of the cone. 2, you could skip Cinder Cone altogether, just hike around the base of it and just go out to Snag Lake and back. That would probably be about a 12-mile hike. Again, kind of depending on what bypasses you take and how efficient you are with route finding. And 3, to shorten it just a little bit, would be to go up Cinder Cone and then just go straight back down instead of wandering around the top of that. You'd probably make it around a 14-mile hike if you did that. Butte Lake is really pretty. And there's some really good swimming spots along the long section of it. So if you are into that, you might want to pack your suits or some water shoes. There's some good rocks and stuff, and you can jump in with a view of Lassen Peak. Well, good morning. Today is our last day in Lassen Volcanic National Park. We have a pretty big drive ahead of us today to get up to our next park, but before we head out, we got up at 4:50 one more time to get in one more hike. Today's hike is up Prospect Peak. It's a little over 8,000 feet, so it's not a huge climb, but we're pretty sure it's still going to kick our butts.
We have less than 400 feet. Does it? Yeah. And guess what? Finally found a snowfield. There's a good bit of snow up here. That's pretty fun.
We have just about made it to the summit of Prospect Peak. It's a really steady climb. First through lodgepole pine forest, pretty smooth, soft ground, and then the terrain slowly transitions to a little bit rockier, firmer ground. Instead of hiking through pines, you're hiking through more low-lying bushes, like Kelly called them pine manzanita, low pine manzanita or something like that. And the climb gets a little bit worse as you enter the new terrain, and then eventually you break through the trees and get views of Lassen Peak and all the surrounding park area. And then blissfully, the trail levels off for the very last stretch. And that's where we are now. And that's a wrap on our visit to Lassen Volcanic National Park for the summer. We spent 3 nights here, and all of them were in the Butte Lake area. This is a slightly more remote area of the park than like Manzanita Lake. There were not services here, so no cell service, and no camp store or shower facility or anything like that. It's just pretty bare bones. It had really nice restrooms and potable water. But if you're going to stay out here for a few days, you definitely want to make sure you have everything you need to camp. It was perfect for us because we were able to hike every day out of our campsite. We did make one afternoon drive down to the Manzanita Lake area to splurge on some showers and ice cream. But other than that, we've just been hanging out here. It was a pretty perfect home base. After today's hike, we will have finished 40% of Lassen Volcanic National Park. It clocks in at about 170 miles of trail, so it's not a monster park by any means, but it's also not small. So we're pretty pleased with our progress here. No major rush to finish the park, although when you start seeing that much done on your map, it can be really tempting to just like try to chip away at everything else.
It's time for team talk. Oh wait, I gotta put my shirt on.